Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher. Quick one today. A lot of people struggling with this. Gonna show you how to do it. It's a big thing about using add-ons like TellMeWhen. I did a video a little while ago showing you the best way of tracking your important cooldowns. So I just got myself in combat there, and it's via TellMeWhen. As you can see, what I've got here is various TellMeWhen set up on Swole Boost Wagons, who's looking pretty chill right now. I've got to say, he's decent. He's getting good. He's getting there. And it's about showing a spell cooldown just before it's about to come off cooldown. Okay, so we can build it into our rotation. The idea of using add-ons like this is to make sure we maximize the effective use of our spells. So as you can see, I've got various TellMeWhens set up here. This middle one here is Shadow Word Death. Obviously, it only comes up when the boss is able to be Shadow Word Death. And over here is going to be Devouring Plague. So I'm going to show you that quickly. And I see, fire off my DPS cooldown, Shadow Fiend, and they all disappear. Now, what this shows me is when these bad boys are coming off cooldown, I can obviously react to them very quickly, and I can maintain a solid DPS rotation. Now, obviously, I'm not trying to do DPS here. I'm just showing you my cooldowns. Now, what you can see here with Mind Blast, I'm going to show it one more time, is Mind Blast is a spell that's on a very short cooldown, about 6-7 seconds, and I need to know when Mind Blast is about to come off cooldown. Okay, the reason behind this is Mind Blast obviously builds my Shadow Orbs, which then means I do a ton more DPS with my main DPS spell, Devouring Plague. So the amount of Mind Blasts I pull off in a fight is very, very important, because that leads me to do more Devouring Plagues, and so on and so forth. So if I don't maximize my use of Mind Blast, I actually just passively suffer in my DPS. Now, some of you have got it so it shows it all the time. The problem when it's like this, and it's just on your screen all the time, is you actually start to ignore it. Because it's not popping up enough. It's not really going, boom, yo, fire me off. Okay, that's the sweet reminder we're after. So what I'm going to show you one more time is what you'll actually notice is a second and a half. You can see here, 6, 5, 4, I'm going to keep it going back, 3, 2, 1. A second and a half before I can cast it, it actually pops up with a little time as to say, hey, you know what, Preacher, you're about to fire off my Mind Blast. You need to fire this off. Build it into the next spell you're about to cast. That's what we're after. That is very, very important, okay? Because that means that I'm not passively losing out on maybe 4 or 5 Mind Blasts by the end of a fight. And if we're not that great and we're ignoring it a little bit by keeping it on the screen all the time, like this, then we run into the situation where we might actually use 7 or 8 Mind Blasts, perhaps even more, and that's 3 or 4 Devouring Plagues as a result we've missed out. And as you can see, Devouring Plague hits like a beast, 80k minimum, then ticks like an absolute truck, 31k crits, blah, 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 blah. And it gets even worse as the more and more gear we get. Okay, so how have I done this is the big question. I do recommend TellMeWhen right now for your add-ons, for boss timers, debuffs, and so on and so forth. It's very, very configurable, but some people find this interface a little bit daunting. So I'm going to check on my Mind Blast there. Okay, so when we're doing this, I've done a guide on this in the past. You can go and check that out to actually set up your spell cooldowns and so on, so you can get all these kind of things up. We are looking at Mind Blast. So all I've done is I've got a spell cooldown, which I've selected from the menu, spell cooldown. And remember, you can do this for buffs, debuffs, so if the boss puts that of death on you, really cool, can give yourself a nice big button, and you will never again be that guy that suffers horrendously from dying to that big debuff of death. I've enabled it, of course. And the spell I want to check is Mind Blast. Now, this works for everything, okay? This isn't a Shadow Priest guide, guys. Come on, get it together. This is anything. If you've got one of those 6 or 7 second cooldowns, that's really important. Think about a warrior, for example. That Mortal Strike, losing my words. That Mortal Strike, that Bloodthirst, you know, you need to keep these motherfuckers on cooldown because they give you so much rage, so much power, and you need to use as many as possible throughout the fight, and then you'll find yourself running into an extra, oh, I had an extra 200 rage during that fight. Every single class has some kind of spell like this, okay? Now, how have I made it show it a second and a half before it's ready? Let's do that. Okay, so I've enabled it, spell cooldown, Mind Blast. The next thing you're going to do is when you come into here, if you've already got something similar set up, is unusable will be passively not selected. You're going to select that bad boy, because when it's unusable, we want to see it. I'm going to take you through the stage. TellMeWhen is a very logical program. You're telling it what you want to see. So when this spell is not usable, I still want to see it, is what I'm telling the program. I still want to see this program. I still want to see this spell cooldown when I can't use it. I want to see it 100%. This is opacity. This is how much it's viewed. So if I turn this down, it starts to go see-through. Like you can see here with my Rapture one, you can start seeing things around the environment compared to, say, these spells where I can only see those. You can see the difference there. The next thing I've added on the timer sweep is the timer text. That's giving me those actual numbers. So you can see when it pops up, I've got the number 1. That means there's a second left. I like having that timer text. It's just a personal thing. You don't have to build that in. That's entirely up to you. But I like seeing that timer text. Perhaps that 1 second is enough time to maybe add a shadow word pain. Things like that, just to let me know. Now, the next bit is we need to tell me when to show this spell with 1.5 seconds left. So this is where we go to conditions. Now, this is where people tend to get goofed up. They goof it up because conditions runs into all sorts of crazy configures. Now, it's all perfectly logical. So let's say we wanted something to show at a certain % health of the boss. Like, I only want to use this spell at a certain % health. Things like that, we could go to % health, resources, check for energy, check for your rage, check for your mana, check for all sorts of crazy things. You can check for percentage rage. So you can build something in here. If you're struggling with, say, Heroic Strike, TellMeWhen is perfectly great for that. Because if you say, oh, set this to % rage, then I know at over 80% rage that I use Heroic Strike. Boom, you can build that in, and then never again are you wasting Heroic Strikes by firing them off at the wrong time. You can set this up to show you that, okay? And of course it has the class-specific stuff like Shadow Orbs. I only want to fire this spell off when I have Shadow Orbs and a certain amount of them. So if I was to select Shadow Orbs for my Shadow Priest, that has a value of up to 3. So I only want to see when it's equal to 3. So I've got something similar for my Devouring Plague. Value of 3. That's 3 Shadow Orbs. You can see it there. Only show me this spell when I have 3 Shadow Orbs. But that's not what we want to do today. What we want to do is type spell cooldown. Okay? We want to see spell cooldown. So we go to spells and items. Because remember, this shows you for trinkets and things like that. And we want to select spell cooldown. Okay? Spell cooldown. Okay. So we've sold a spell cooldown. Let's get rid of that. Now the spell cooldown we want to track here is Mind Blast. Now again, I love TellMeWhen for this because it builds in every single thing in the game when you are typing it in. So as soon as I type Mind, it's like, oh, that's all the shit that has Mind written in it. And right at the top there, Mind Blast. So I'm going to check the spell cooldown of Mind Blast. I want the unit to be me. Now I just want to do this. How long do I want this to show? So I come here and I want to say less than or equal to, okay, less than or equal to, and I drag this to 1.5 seconds. So you can see you can drag this all the way you want, but I want it to be 1.5 seconds. So I'm telling the add-on to show me the spell cooldown of Mind Blast when it is less than or equal to 1.5 seconds. Okay, that's what I'm telling it here. I'll tell you again, go down here to spells and items, spell cooldown, very easy. Type in the spell you want to track. Operator is less than or equal to. Okay. And then you want to set it to 1.5 seconds. Perfectly logical, perfectly easy. Okay. And now back again. I want it to show it unusable. If I had this hidden so I couldn't see the spell when it was unusable, it doesn't matter if I've set it to less than 1.5 seconds. It's not going to show me anyway because I've told the program that I don't want to see the icon when it's unusable. So you need to make sure unusable is selected and set it to a decent opacity, and the timer text, perfectly up to you. And then you just okay it. Okay, that's it. And it's done then. And you can do this for any class, guys. Any class whatsoever. So you can see I'm going to dot this up. Fire off some cooldowns, whatever. Get rid of all my TellMeWhens. And now I'm just DPSing away. Oh, I've got 1.5 seconds left. Boom, Mind Blast. And I'm now no longer missing out on any Mind Blasts, okay? I've got the pre-warning. No more of this waiting a second. Oh, 1.5 seconds. Now the next spell is a Mind Blast. Boom, there's my Devouring Plague. And there we go. And I'm now using more, naturally, Devouring Plagues than anybody else, okay? Easy. 1.5 seconds left. Mind Blast, off it goes. I'm just not missing any. What happens if we have it on the screen permanently is we ignore it. If we have it just appear as it's off cooldown, we've already lost out because we're casting something else. So now we've got to build in the extra 1.5 seconds delay. 1.5 seconds on a 6-second spell is a really long time to be missing out on casting it, okay? Really easy. I hope that helps you out, guys. Take it easy. It'll be good.